Hello, I'm the Old Timer, and I'd like to welcome you to the Old Timers channel. I use that phrase Old Timer candidly because I don't feel old, I don't act old, I don't do things that a lot of old people do, but I'm 65 and I am signed up for Medicare, and people tell me that I'm old. So I'm glad to be here. I love people and I like talking to people, and I'm just glad that you've taken a moment to watch my channel. What I'm here to share with you, and some, I guess, stories of my life, what I've seen growing up, and I do know that there is some wisdom to old people, and when you listen to some of the things that we have to say, I used to tell my son that I have flat spots on my forehead because of all of the things that I did wrong. And if I can point you in a direction that keeps you from doing something wrong, well, then I think I've done some good. First of all, I want to be candid with you. I am a believer in God and Jesus Christ. And I don't want you to turn off the channel because I said that. Because if you're an atheist and you don't believe, I love you too. And you are, I believe, something that God has created. You're a creation of God. And that if you're a creation of God and God made you, then you're worth talking to. And hopefully by visiting this channel, maybe I can change the way you look at things. I don't know. Personally, I think if you're an atheist, you have a lot of faith. It takes more faith, I believe, to not believe in God than to believe in Him. And I'd like to just point out a couple of things here. I'd like to title this video, Don't Buy the Lie, and Finding the Truth. So not buying the lie. Now, when I was 18 years old, I remember watching the Apollo missions that they flew to the moon. And I especially remember Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. And when that week came and they blasted that Apollo rocket off and the men were heading towards the moon, every night the news was filled with details of their travel and what they might encounter when they got there. And I especially remember them discussing the surface of the moon and what they might find when they land on it. Now, scientists are pretty smart, and they do know things like how much cosmic dust is flying around in the atmosphere or up in space. And so they know that a certain amount of dust is going to land on the moon every year. And so when they built the LEM, or the Lunar Landing Module, they built it with long legs, and I think they anticipated landing in feet of dust because, of course, if you know anything about today and scientists, they believe that the universe and the world, the earth and the moon are billions of years old, or if not billions, at least millions. And they need that length of time to justify evolution. So, but what I do remember them talking about in the when Neil Armstrong landed the LEM, they talked about the concern about all the dust that they were going to find. Now, the interesting thing is when the LEM landed, they immediately saw that there was only a few inches of dust on the moon that didn't support their theory of being billions of years old. And that was the last you heard of it. So I would like some input. Why was there only a few inches of dust up on the moon? Well, to me, it tells me that the moon is only about 6,000 or 8,000 years old. And that would support the creation theory. Another thing, too, is if you look at rivers. Well, rivers, every year, they wash sediment down from the topsoil and from the mountains. And I'll tell you right now that if the earth was billions of years old, like people said, there wouldn't be mountains. They would be all washed flat. Now, that's just common sense to me. But here again, we're listening to scientists, and they've gone to college, and they've gotten their doctorate's degrees, and they've studied, and they're really smart, and they know these things. Well, to me, the Bible is my source of inspiration. And I will share sometimes with you some of these things because I believe that because of my belief in God, that I've been blessed by it. And I'd love to see you be blessed by it too. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time on this segment, but I do really appreciate people commenting because I learn from people. I don't know it all, and I don't pretend to know it all. If I knew it all, I wouldn't ask for your comments, but I would relish your thoughts, your comments, and I'd also like it if you'd subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you like and what you don't like. Another thing is I'm 65 and I'm not tech. I'm not a techie. Matter of fact, I have my picture on this thing and it's sideways and I'm trying to figure out how to straighten it out. But one other thing when closing, I remember the news, the nightly broadcasts, and there was David Brinkley and Chet Huntley and also Walter Cronkite. And Walter Cronkite used to close his Newsly segment saying, "I'm Walter Cronkite. And that's the way it is." And that's the way he ended his news broadcast. That's the way it is. And he ended them that way because I think he tried to be unbiased and and very truthful. And when he said that's the way it is, that's what was happening in the world. Today, the news broadcasters, well, you've got two sides. You've got liberal sides and you've got conservative sides. And they're fighting each other and they're pushing their agenda. And they tend to be, to me, in my eyes, very biased. It's hard to watch a night segment of news because another thing that concerns me is it's bad news. And I don't like the way that the direction this country's going. So give me some fuel. Give me some things that you'd like to hear about. Tell me what you think. Give me your perspective. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good night. This is the Old Timer, and that's the way it is.